So I got a call about a couple weeks ago from my friend Brian McTeer, who owns Minor Street Studios, and he said that the people that were doing construction, I think, for his place, bought a studio in Florida, and the place is full of gear, and they don't want any of the gear. And could I help them get rid of it? And I said, sure. Send me the list. Let me see what you have, and we'll go from there. And I've done this before, where people will send me a list of what they want to get rid of. And I usually advise them. I say, just take a picture of the front and back of it. And if it's in working condition, put it on eBay or Reverb and see what you can get. And look at the completed sales, so you have an idea of what you can get for it. And some people take my advice, and some people say, no, George, I'd rather you do it. I mean, the other way I do it, and I think there's a smart way, is some situation like this where it's a studio, it's actually a building, and they just want all the gear gone. I just look at all the gear. I find out what the completed sales were, for everything, and then I chop it in half. So I take 50% off of what fair market value would be, because I'm taking a risk with it because I don't know. And then I make an offer, maybe 50% off or 60% off. I go, here, I'll give you this much money. And I come down there, I pick up everything, I store it, and it's all cleared out. And a lot of people, they'll go for that. I've had a few people go for that because they go, the studio's, it's done. We got to get out of there because we rented the place, or we're selling the place and we just need it all out. So these people, I got in touch with them, and they were like, well, he said, well, we got some stuff that we know is worth some value. I said, what, do you want advice, or do you want me to buy it? And he said, well, we're getting advice from everybody. I go, well, what do you need me to do then? And he said, well, just seeing if we can just move all this stuff. And I go, well, then I'm not really interested in buying all this stuff, because, I looked at the list and I go, oh, this is going to take a decent amount of money, not a lot, but decent, and then to have it shipped from Florida. And by the end of the conversation, I was thinking, you know what, this is not going anywhere. And I wished them good luck, and I said, it seems like you have it under control. And sometimes you have to be that way. You have to know to walk away from a deal, because it's not going to go anywhere. When people don't really know what they have, but they think it's worth some money, and when you ask them what do they want, and they want the most amount of money they can get for it, and don't really factor in that you have to put work into selling it, it's not going to be a good situation when it's all said and done. And especially when you get used gear, used consoles, used tape machines. I mean, tape machines, the heads could be all worn. There could be all kind of problems with a tape machine. And the same thing with consoles. So you don't know what you're buying. And, when you say you take 50% off to 60% off of what fair market value is, because, and it's happened to me a lot of times, some stuff, it just doesn't work. You sell it through eBay, the people get it, and they go, it won't even power up. And I'll tell people, just throw it in the dumpster. I'll refund your money, because it's there's no point in having it all shipped back to you. But it's a risky kind of business. But the most difficult customers are the ones that want the most amount of money, and they want it right away, and they don't want to work with you. So I just bowed out, and I said, I think you probably have this covered, because he mentioned a bunch of other dealers that he was talking to, and I go, I just don't want to be in the middle of this. So I did talk to Brian McTeer later, and I said, I'm sorry if I let you down. And he said, oh no, it was just an acquaintance. I really didn't know the person. And I said, yeah, it didn't seem like it was going anywhere. But this is the kind of stuff in pro audio, you just have to kind of have a formula when somebody presents a whole list of gear, and you see some pieces that are good, but then they're counteracted by some pieces that are really, really bad. And the worst thing is when you have a customer who thinks they have a gold mine, and you have to kind of explain to them it's not really a gold mine, but then they think you're trying to rip them off. So best thing, just step away from it and let it go. So that was my interesting story for the day.